higher than it's ever been in history, you now want to be defensive. If it means to go to 35 because Greenspan is a congenital distributor of ease and money and subsidized rate.
First-rate believer in markets.
And markets left to their own devices, which will be honest and straightforward and look after the subprime instruments.
Okay, so what's your rule about markets?
Markets can be, from time to time, crazily inefficient, as we have seen over and over again in history. And any pretense to the contrary is really in defense of some elegant economic theory. Economic theory doesn't work with human beings. We're far too messy.
Yeah.
So economic theory assumes that we're incredibly well informed, that the buyers know just as much as the sellers, which is complete nonsense, as everyone knows, and that we're rational and cool and keep a cool head.
You don't believe that at all?
No one believes that, I think, except a handful of professors who made their career promoting an elegant formula based on that assumption.
How about Fed chairman? Do they believe in that?
Greenspan, 90% believed in it, and then every now and then he'd surprise you by saying the housing market is showing some speculative frenzy. Whoops. Where did that come from?
Or irrational exuberance later.
Or irrational exuberance. Actually earlier, but still.
No.
And then Bernanke has inherited a more completely academic view that markets are pretty efficient.
Okay, let me talk about you again. Japan, you saw the bubble in Japan.
Yes, the Japan.
You call that the mother of all bubbles.
The Japan. You know, the old story was that the land underneath the Emperor's Palace was worth more than the state of California. And we spent a couple of days researching that. It really was worth more than the state of California. I mean, how ridiculous can you get? And land was
the price of land in Tokyo?
In Tokyo, under the Emperor's Palace. And that was the biggest bubble in the history of the world. That was much worse than the South Sea bubble or the tulip bubble. And right behind it was the Japanese stock market bubble.
Right.
That didn't go to 35 times for every dollar of earnings. That went to 65 times. And they had never sold above 25. They went through their old record. They climbed and climbed. And then, of course, we were predicting the end of the world, and happily. And we had no Japanese holdings. It was 60% of the benchmark against which we get measured. And we had none. Nothing.
Right.
For a total of almost 7 years, we had zero.
So what happened to the amount of money you were managing? Did it go?
Well, the good news is we underperformed by 10 points a year for 3 years. And then we got it all back with a lot of interest. We lost nothing. We lost nothing for some very interesting, important reasons, really. And that is our clients were sitting here watching the crazy Japanese. They have very much their own economy, their own culture. And they were able to say, wow, that's crazy behavior. And they believed us that sooner or later things would work out badly. And they were not willing to fire us. But when it came here, in the tech bubble, most of our committees had a majority of people who believed, more or less, that it was some sort of golden new era, which is what Greenspan was saying, that the internet would drive away the dark clouds of ignorance and other such nonsense.
And how did you know different?
Why is that nonsense?
We didn't know different. We just looked at the numbers and said, every bubble has broken. This is the biggest in history. It will break. Japan was even bigger.